Hello and welcome back to Friends for Good. I'm Zach Lehner and that's Carson Fowler. This week we are talking about optimism and what are the benefits of it. But before we get into any of that, me and Carson were just talking before we got on the show, and we were just talking about favorite feel-good movies. And as he's about to say his answer, we both start, or I start to think of what it is, and he goes, Chef. I had just watched Chef 2 days ago. Carson had just watched it. If you haven't seen Chef, written by Jon Favreau, one of the best feel good movies of all time.
And also just like a really good movie in general. Like production quality is super high, really good cast. And honestly, it ties into our theme because it's one of those movies that just makes you so optimistic and have such a zest for life. Like this guy kind of goes through this tough spell and then rebuilds himself and rebuilds this new life. And he's so happy that he's getting back to doing what he loves and gets to reconnect with his family. Like I just love that movie. And it wasn't even that I was feeling down. I was like, I just want to watch this movie again.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like I wasn't even in a bad mood or anything. I just put it on, and I think about all the shots in that movie that just celebrate like just different cultures that the
Yeah.
U.S. has, whether it be New Orleans or Miami or Austin. Just everything about it is so colorful and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a really good way to describe it.
yeah. So if you're in need of a pick me up, it's a quick watch and it's an easy watch and it's so good. Chef.
You will not be disappointed.
It's over a decade old at this point, but it doesn't matter. It's still great.
Facts, facts.
Now, with that, we're going to get into our stories of the week. Carson, do you want to kick us off, or I can?
I can kick us off. I mean, I feel like this story needs no introduction. It's probably the top story in the news right now, but it's just this Artemis launch, right? I want to say, I think it's on the way back now. They're calling it the home stretch. They're like 207,000 miles from Earth, but they've just rounded Earth and now they're coming, or rounded the moon, excuse me. Now they're on the way back. But just
So
a really, really cool. You were saying?
I was just going to ask you. I saw a thing of their flight path. Have they already done that? Like I thought it was like two figure eights almost. Is that not what it is?
I th I think you're right. I think they were going around the moon twice and then
Okay,
using its gravity to come back.
I see.
I
Okay.
believe so. I mean, I know the whole point of the trip. Painfully, I have to admit this. I thought they were landing on the moon, but I guess that's the trip in like a couple of years. This is the
Uh,
first trip to just like go to the other side of the moon, which I guess we've never done, or at least NASA's never done. So I don't know, just really cool. I feel like a bit of optimism is hoping for the best of society, hoping for the best of us that we can achieve these what we would call impossible things. And I don't know, 100 years ago, leaving our atmosphere and going to space and going to that big shiny thing in the sky sounds impossible. And now we're doing it. I think that's really cool and makes me optimistic for our future and for any, I don't know, I guess endeavors that we intake. Like if we can do that, we can do anything.
I also just love that no matter what uncertainties are going on, there's still people so devoted to advancement and their fascination. Like, there's a viral clip of Jerry Seinfeld talk. He's giving a post grad speech at some college, and he's talking about how the importance of fascination over passion and what that can do for you. And
Yeah.
to me, NASA and the Artemis mission, like it just reminds me that there are people fascinated enough with this world and what's going on outside of our world to pursue this, and it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and shout out Jeremy Hansen. He's the mission specialist on the Artemis launch, and it's like he grew up on a farm. He grew up
Really,
on a farm in Canada, and now he's a part of NASA, and he literally went around the moon. Like it just shows that you can do anything. Like you put your
yes,
mind to something, like you can do it. So just
100.
shout at him, and I'll just shout out the other three people on the Meet the Crew. It's Reed Wiseman is the commander, Victor Glover is the pilot, and Christina Koch is the other mission specialist, and then Jeremy is the fourth.
Wow,
Um, but yeah, just like cool stuff. I feel like that was a good way to kick us off. Makes me optimistic for what's ahead.
100%. Yeah, I love that story and completely relevant. Um,
100%.
my story is a bit less specific to an event. It's actually about how optimism can help you live longer.
All
So
right.
there was a long-term study. It tracked thousands of people over a few decades, and what they found was that people who consistently scored higher in optimism were more likely to live longer, like especially past 85. And it wasn't because their lives are easier or avoided hardship. it came down to how they responded to things in their life.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
What,
absolutely.
what does scoring optimism mean? Is that like how
So
you respond to like certain situations?
yeah, it was basically like the subjects were given various situations and like how they yeah, just how they responded to them and how they approach them and their mindset going about them. And
Right
the
on.
people that tended to have like a more optimistic view about just tackling it and not trying to avoid it. And this goes back to what we were talking about last week of kind of loving reality. I think it goes hand in hand. But optimistic people, they tended to manage stress better, bounce back quicker from setbacks, and make healthier choices over time. Um, and so it wasn't one big life decision that made the difference, right? It was the accumulation of small responses throughout the day
Yeah.
and how you tackle those small things throughout the day. It shaped their overall health and longevity because they were consistent in this optimistic mindset. So I found that fascinating.
I liked how you said one of the keys to being optimistic is that they're able to come back from setbacks. I feel like I'm a pretty optimistic person, and I feel like when things get in my way or things quote unquote set me back, I feel like when I have an optimistic outlook on it and I kind of see the grace of like why this certain thing didn't happen or why this happened to me, I feel like I can get past it more quickly. Like I've had things
Yeah.
happen to me here in Green Bay that haven't gone my way, but just because I feel like I'm an optimistic person, I feel like I've been able to you know, have those feelings, feel down about it, and then get on to the next and keep living my life.
Yes. And I would agree with you that I think you are a very optimistic person. You don't let things get you down. And if you do, it's only for a moment and you're like right back into tackling it. I think that's something I could definitely get better at is just understanding that the way I feel now is just the way I feel now and it's temporary, you know? Um,
I love it. That goes back to what you said last week too about loneliness. Like that feeling won't last forever. Like
yeah.
A and B, it's also like a choice to like feel better.
Yes.
And I think it's also, I think for anything, like we always bring this up, like you can choose to do anything. You can choose to be optimistic for sure. Definitely.
100 Yes. Yes. And it's also like you know, you can't ignore the fact that if you're in maybe kind of a bad place in your life, it's hard to be optimistic. But
For sure.
that's when it's most important to be optimistic.
Yeah. Most
And
needed.
Most needed. And I think even just the act of being aware that maybe you know, you're in a pessimistic place is the first thing that's going to help you get out of it.
I agree completely. Totally.
Yes. Um, so moving off that into my second story of the day and our last story, it's going to be talking about a global initiative called Earth Optimism. And it's built completely around this idea that instead of focusing only on environmental problems, they highlight progress, like things that are actually working in the current fight to
We
save
should
the
reach
planet.
out to these people, try to get them on a guest, try to get them as a guest.
You know what? I think that's a great idea. I will definitely tag them. Um, but basically, whether it's conservation wins or improving ecosystems or new solutions that are gaining traction, they found what we found, and that is that people tend to only hear about the problems, and because of that, they actually shut it down. Like, I think that's contributing to the fact that there's a lot of deniers of it, because maybe when you only hear the bad about something, it starts to get like ex people start to think it's exaggerated.
I think also when you're hearing about the bad so much, you're just kind of like, I'd rather just not hear about it. And then
Yes.
you're not seeking out any information at all. So then you're not even you're eliminating the possibility of even hearing about the good.
Yes. And
And like
so
I think I've fallen into that trap for sure.
absolutely when everything we consume is so doomsday, it's like, well, what's the point of even trying? And I
Yeah,
think that hearing that this initiative exists, it validates what we're doing so much more. It makes me more optimistic about this project, but
totally.
also it also just makes me realize like there are people that not only agree with us, but are doing it in a very unique way. Like they're focusing on this niche of climate and they're tackling it in a way that I haven't seen before, and I think it's so important.
I totally agree with that. And when Zach, I want to bring up, I was reading this like sort of like sciencey, like abstract about optimism, and I want to read out like how they describe the term optimism.
Yeah.
So they say the term optimism embraces two closely correlated concepts. The first is the inclination to hope, while the second more generally refers to the tendency to believe that we live in the best of all possible worlds. I
Mm,
really liked that second part because a lot of optimism, I think, is looking forward
yeah.
to the best that is yet to come. But some of it is also like realizing like there's a lot of good happening right now. And I think that really tied into your last story because, like what we're doing, if we're not highlighting the good that's happening, chances are you're probably not going to hear about it and you're not going to be as optimistic about it.
I think what you just said was so profound. Like it the fact that it ties into with what we talked about just being present, right? Like if you're only looking ahead, you're also going to miss what's happening now. And
Yes.
staying positive and optimistic in the moment, in the present state, and believing that you're in a great spot, because for the most part, we're in such a better spot than we actually perceive. Uh,
Yes.
I think that's the most important part of optimism. So I love that you brought that up.
And even the first part of it too, like the hope too, like obviously it's good to look forward to, but it's also good to like hope. Like
Yes.
if you don't have, I hate to say it, but if you're in a place where you're having a hard time being optimistic, if you don't at least have hope, you probably don't have that much.
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
that's like the fallback. If you're not that optimistic, at least you can hope that things will get better.
And I read something the other day talking about how there's actually statistical evidence that more than talent and more than just work discipline, belief in yourself actually produces success more than those other
Oh
factors.
yeah, I
Believing
dude,
that you can do something.
I definitely agree with that. Like when I go into a project being like, I know I can tackle this, I feel so much better. I feel
Yes.
better learning it. I feel better comprehending it. I feel like I can execute it better. That is such a good point, Zach.
And sometimes it's also a matter of like almost kind of faking it until you make it, like telling yourself like
Yeah,
this is like I feel good right now. I feel confident I'm going to be good. Saying that and just reaffirming yourself is so important. It can change everything, especially if it's, you know, if you're not actually feeling that way, but just telling yourself that you do feel that way.
totally. I can't remember if my mom told me this or if I read it somewhere, or maybe your mom said it to me, but it was like before you tackle like a big challenge like an exam or I don't know, anything, doing like the Superman pose for
Mm,
like 30 seconds is supposed to like help you feel better about your chances of being successful.
really?
It's like some small stuff like that that like anything to kind of give you that edge to feel better about what you're doing, I think you should absolutely take.
I think so. Yeah. Because it's such a small thing and easy to do. And I think there's a lot of kind of little mind tricks that you can do throughout the day. I think it'd be a good idea for us to link that in the comments, some tips.
Oh, I definitely agree. Like we can even talk about it right now, like some things that we do throughout the day to kind of trick our minds.
I actually have that for, our kind of
Oh,
support.
okay, sorry, I won't skip it. So wait, that's a good segue. You should introduce. Actually, no, sorry, we got to do our quotes first, and then you can introduce our next little segment here.
Absolutely. So I just shared my stories for a bit. I'd love to hear your quote today.
Okay, I'll give you my first quote. This is from the Dalai Lama. He said, "Choose to be optimistic. It feels better."
Yeah. Simple
So
and
true.
so true. Why wouldn't you want that? I mean, it's so simple and profound because it's kind of like the quote we talked about the other day, misery also loves company, but joy throws way better parties.
I'm
Like,
so glad you remember that. That was such a good quote. That was so good. It's also like the just sit still, don't worry, like just sit still and think, never be afraid to just sit still and think. Like
yes.
some of those like short punchy quotes like really hit the hardest. One, they're easy to remember, and two, like they're often so true. Like yeah, it definitely feels a lot better to be optimistic about like life and what I'm doing than like just down all the time. It's like Josh, like we always go back to like this interview with Josh because it was so profound and so great. Like you can choose every day to wake up like it's your birthday.
Yes. Yes. It's a daily choice that we all make, and it's easier said than done, but
For sure.
I think it's also kind of one of those things that's habitual. Like the more you do it, the better you get at it. And
Right on. For
it's
sure.
it's about just doing it that one day and then building on it.
You got your first quote for us?
I do. So my first quote is from the Anne Frank diary.
Okay.
Um, Something she wrote. She said, "It's a wonder I haven't abandoned all my ideals. They seem so absurd and impractical. yet I cling to them because I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are truly good at heart. So
Wow.
I found this, quick story. Paul, our friend Paul, he read the Holy and Frank Diary. I still haven't read it. He's been recommending it to me for months, and he sent me a few quotes from it just as he was reading it. The whole thing is so unbelievably inspiring, and the fact that a young child wrote all of this, but the fact that Anne Frank, going through the Holocaust, she wrote this in her diary, didn't think anyone would read it, that she still believes people are good at heart after seeing the absolute worst that humanity can offer.
Yeah.
Um, if that's not a lesson on the importance of optimism, I don't know what is. Just going through that, all that you have, you can choose to be pessimistic and stop fighting, but she didn't. And she still believes in people.
Dude, I think it goes back to like believing that this is the best of all possible worlds. Like she was in the worst possible situation and she still was like, despite what I'm going through, I know there are good people out there and I there's a belief that like built her foundation to like write something like that. Dude, that
Yes.
was really profound. I'm glad you found that.
Thank you.
That was a really good quote.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you read it one more time so people can
yes,
hear it again?
absolutely. So it's a wonder I haven't abandoned all my ideals. They seem so absurd and impractical, yet I cling to them because I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are truly good at heart. Um,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
a, chi-
That's like Hall of
a
Fame
child,
worthy.
a child wrote that during World War II. It's just,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
And,
Um,
and and like you said, it's she probably had no idea the impact that her diary would have on future generations.
I mean, even the
You're just
story.
writing her thoughts down.
I think it was her father survived, and he found the diary and pushed it on museums and tried to get it out for decades, and then when he finally did, everyone understood why he fought so hard for it, which is,
Yeah, I do.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was dude, that was good. That was good.
I'd love to hear your second quote.
I will give you my second quote. Okay. This is from Helen Keller. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. And I think that kind of goes back to the term of optimism and the twofold bit that I brought up earlier. Like, kind of have to have hope and confidence to be optimistic. Kind of have to have a belief in yourself, a belief that we're working towards something greater, a belief that what we're doing right now is good. So I like that one. Hard to follow up your quote, but I like that one.
Listen, I think it's in the same vein of, we can't ignore the adversity Helen Keller has. I mean,
Yeah.
for deaf and a blind, person saying that is, it means everything, especially if you're in a situation like you or me where we kind of have, we're blessed in so many ways just to be in good health and in good positions in our lives. That if she can be optimistic and if Anne can be optimistic like that, then we have no excuse.
Yeah, like why can't we?
Absolutely. Um, so yeah, it was perfect and it was powerful. Can you read it one more time?
Absolutely. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement, and nothing can be done without hope and confidence.
And it also goes back to what we were saying, just belief in yourself is going to take you further than really anything else.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. Your second quote, sir.
yes, sir. So this is a quote from Winston Churchill. Uh,
Okay.
a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty.
Wow.
Um,
I almost picked this quote actually. I
really,
really like that quote, dude.
I, it it just really stuck out to me because it was something that we just talked about how in the study, people that perceive situations as more of an opportunity literally tended to live longer.
Yeah.
Like, direct findings of research, and who better to make that point than Winston Churchill. Um, so yeah, I had to include it, just because it's such a good way to view optimism.
Yeah, and you think about all the challenges that Winston Churchill went through. for him to say this, he had so many things that were in front of him that he had to tackle. And I would like to believe that he perceived them as opportunities to do great things instead of like, oh my God, like this is a very challenging part of our history and it's all on me and our people and good people to like make sure that this evil doesn't prevail. But I'd like to believe that he saw it as opportunity, like we can win, we can do this.
Yes, yes. And I think if he was a pessimist at heart, he probably wouldn't have ever gone in that position
Yeah,
of great importance either. You know, all the things in his life that led him to get to where he was, like I think any successful person would argue that they didn't do it from doubting themselves or being pessimistic about the world or their situation.
for
You know,
sure.
not making excuses, but looking at it as like, okay, this is difficult. I can't wait. And you know what? This is what John, our friend, brought up. You know, John's been um
John Stevenson,
John Stevenson. He's one of the hardest workers we know.
for sure.
And you know, he's had a lot of success recently. And he told us, he said, it's because I've failed like so early and I've gotten cursed out and I was in these situations and now he's, you know, he he's succeeding past people his age
He's
in
doing
his
what he's supposed to do.
yes.
It all comes back. I there's like a good quote about like you have to go through some failure to like see great success. I don't have it on me, but I was actually just thinking about before we got on the Zoom how so many of the IB attributes that we grew up on, because obviously you and I went to Shaker Heights High School, which is an IB affiliated school. I think of like being a risk taker and being open-minded when I think about being optimistic. And I really go back to that Winston Churchill quote because he was absolutely a risk taker and he was
Yes.
absolutely and he was absolutely open-minded. And I think you have to be both of those things in a lot of ways. One, to be hopeful, to have belief in yourself, and most importantly, to be optimistic.
Yes. And I think what you said about open-mindedness is just so huge because if you can't have an understanding or at least try to understand what's going on around you, it's going to be way more difficult to see the silver linings in the situations.
And even
Um,
have those conversations in the first place.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was an excellent point. So to move on though, we have a brand new segment on our show. This is going to be rapid fire with Carson. So Carson, I'm going to go down my list of questions.
Okay.
You're going to answer them first thing that comes to your mind, concise, little explanation, and I'm just going to rapid fire and we're going to go. You ready?
And one thing before we get started, we were saying that we would like to have people on for future episodes to do something like this. Maybe next week we'll do the opposite with Zach, but if people have interest in doing this, we'd love to have you on. So quickly, now to the segment, Zach. You have the floor.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
What is the first thing that makes you smile in the morning?
Seeing the sun.
What is a song that instantly lifts your mood?
Oh, sunflower.
Yep, I knew you were going to say that. Optimistic movie everyone should watch.
Either My Neighbor Totoro or Chef,
Oh,
honestly.
nice. Something you're unreasonably hopeful about.
Ooh, I, I think ooh, that's really tough actually. What am I say, ask the question one more time?
Something you're unreasonably hopeful about. I have an answer I can give is like a
Go for it.
Browns. You
What was
know,
that?
the Browns. Like I'm unreasonably hopeful every time I see the littlest move, I'm
I,
amped.
I think I'm hopeful in the next generation. I feel like we keep getting better, and I'd like to believe the next generation would give me hope.
I love that answer. Uh, Worst day you've had that turned out to be a blessing. This might take you a second, but
Ooh. So this is a little hard to admit, and hopefully my employers aren't listening, but I had an opportunity to join the Denver Broncos, as you know, and I didn't get that job. And today actually, I was really thinking about it and reflecting, and I know this is kind of a long-winded answer. I'll try and make it quick, but I was like, man, like I'm almost glad I didn't get that job because I've really enjoyed Green Bay recently. The weather has been amazing. I think it's easier to feel better about your place too when it's sunny. And like we're making all these plans with friends to like come here and hang out. I'm getting into golf. Like, I think that was a moment that I reflected. It was a tough day, and now I feel a lot better about it.
excellent answer. Person living or dead who radiates optimism.
A person living or dead. This is you could read this one of two ways, but I think Robin Williams.
Mm, okay. Well, we'll jump back to that after.
Okay.
Do you believe good things come to those who wait or those who go get it?
Absolutely the first bit. I think good things come to those who wait. My coworker Kyle Malzahn actually has that tattooed on his shoulder.
Shout out Kyle.
Shout out Kyle, man.
Glass half full or glass completely refillable?
Oh, wow. Glass completely refillable. Because I think
Okay.
we'll see some spills every once in a while.
Let's jump back to that because that's another one I want to dive into.
Okay.
Favorite we'll skip this one. What's something everyone worries about that you think will actually be fine?
Our country.
Okay. Biggest reason, this is the last one. Biggest reason you're optimistic about the future.
Mm. My brother and sister.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick three of these and I want you to explain the answer a little bit more. Since the your brother and sister are on your mind, let's start with that one. Why your brother and your sister?
You know, I think I'm obviously very biased. Like I love my siblings, but I just think to their foundation, they're just really good people. And I think they're going to go a long way. And I was very fortunate because I was surrounded by two people who work extremely hard. And I think I work hard too. But I think my sister got to where she is, not just based on how smart she is, but that it was her ability to outwork everyone else. And I love seeing her juggle so many tasks during college. I mean, Division 3 athlete, biology and psych major, pre-med track, a job, social life, just like a lot. And then my brother, like you, president of his fraternity, honors finance, score, varsity, two sport varsity athlete in high school, and just a really good person too. Shout out Jax, and shout out Morgan, like just really good people. That's why they definitely give me a lot of hope because I think I would like to believe they'll be in leadership roles one day, leading other good people.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you and your siblings are, three of the best people I know, and I know Morgan's work ethic a bit more just because we're closer in age, and I know her or spent more time with her than Jackson, but I also just know who Jackson is, and both of them, Morgan and Jackson, are just incredible people to their core and people that you want to stay in touch with because they're going to do amazing things.
Yeah.
Uh,
I always say Jackson doesn't have a lot to say. One, because he's got two siblings, but two, when he does say something, people listen.
so there's a quote about fearing the silent man because he's the one listening.
That's
Um,
exactly who Jackson is.
yes. Um, so then I wanted to ask you about, you said person living or dead who radiates optimism, and you said Robin Williams. And before you talk about it more, I just loved that answer. Robin Williams is someone I really look up to just because all he did his whole life was radiate joy and try and make people happy while he was someone that was struggling
Yeah.
immensely. And I think he fought really hard, and it's unfortunate what happened, but I think he's a testament to powering through and at least trying to make someone else's day if you're struggling yourself. But I'd love to hear your answer.
No, dude, I think you just took the words right out of my mouth. Like I think for someone that was obviously going through so much and battled probably every day of his life just to feel fine, he really made an effort to make other people's lives as good as they could be, whether it was with a laugh or with anything. He was funny, he was charismatic, and I don't know, I felt like he tried to make the world a better place through what he was doing.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is going to be the end of rapid fire with Carson this week. Next
Dude,
week,
that was awesome.
I thought that was great. I think we should definitely, that should be a weekly segment. Um, Now let's move on. We're going to wrap up our show with our silent heroes and then our wins of the week.
Okay.
Would you like to start with your silent heroes, sir?
I will start with our silent hero, and obviously this is what it's Thursday. This will be posted Friday morning. Um, John Fury is my silent hero. So for Zach, if you don't know, he's working at the Masters right now.
Yeah.
He's a product development intern. So he's basically he works in the merchandise shop. He like designs their merch, and I don't know if you saw this, but they're going to do like $70 million in merchandise sales this week. Kid is working his butt off. He doesn't have his phone. I'm pretty sure he's worked 6 days a week for like the past month and a half. Like,
Wow.
kid is just absolutely grinding. I could not be more proud of him. He's not going to get the recognition he deserves, but we're going to give it to him on this platform, on our podcast, because he's one of my really good friends. You know him. I'd like to believe that you have some love for him. And he's doing what he loves. And it's the most important week of the year for his job. So just want to give him a shout out. He is my sound hero.
Yeah, I think it's a great silent hero. I love what you said about how he's not going to get the recognition he deserves, but we're going to shout him out here. That was a bar and so true because he does deserve the recognition for all the work he's putting in.
Absolutely.
So shout out you, John. I have two silent heroes this week. I'll make
Okay.
it. My first is a second John, a John we talked about earlier, but John Stevenson. Um, he works harder than anyone I've ever met in my life. Almost to a point where I feel like it could be bad for him, but there's no doubt that it's already paying off and that it will pay off more in the future. Um, John's in investment banking and he's just killing it. And I'm not going to say too much, but he really motivates me and inspires me every day. So shout out you, John Stevenson. And quickly, my second one is going to be Chase DeLauder, rookie for the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
We could talk about he's a home run machine and how I love him for rookie of the year, but specifically, I love Cleveland's new anthem for him. His walk up song is "Country Roads Take Me Home," and instead of saying West Virginia, Cleveland says Chase DeLauder hit a home run, and it's just
That's so good. I hadn't heard that before.
it gives me chills. And I just love that we're rallying around him. And I think maybe just a sidebar, there needs to be more like European soccer style anthems in all of our stadiums because that just
Yeah.
makes it electric. Um, so those are my silent heroes this week.
Do you have a win of the week too?
I do. And this is sort of a general thing, but my win of the week is the season kind of officially changing.
Yeah, yeah, man.
It's
Yeah.
it's getting sunny. I need it. I've just been able to go on walks. I live right next to Central Park. It's beautiful. Today the cherry blossoms are out. I posted it on our Instagram. But man, it's changed everything about my mood and my outlook. So shout out spring and soon summer.
No, dude, you could not have said that any better. That is absolutely a win. I felt so much better today seeing the sun, and that's why I said like what gives me hope when I first get up, it's like the sun, like just seeing the sun, knowing that we have another day to like do what we're gonna do, work, see friends, whatever. That gives me hope because that just means it's the start of a new day. It's like refreshing almost. Really like that win of the week. My win of the week's a little personal. I ran 7 miles on Wednesday. Zach's
That's
clapping, by the way, if the audio didn't pick that up. Yeah. I didn't run super fast, but I ran 7 miles. That I PR, or sorry, I tied my PR that I ran. I ran 7 miles like last June or last July, but I haven't run that in a while. And it was like almost 60 degrees here in Green Bay. And I was like sitting in my apartment. We talked about this. Like it's so easy to just get up, go for a walk, move your butt. No need to just stay inside all day. And I was like, I'm just gonna go for a run. And I was like 2 miles in, and I was like, let me do 4 miles. And then I'm 4 miles in. I'm like, let me do 6 miles. And then I'm 6 miles in. And then I'm like, let me get seven. And then I got seven.
See, and I feel like those are just the best because it's just you go so much further than you intended, and
Yeah.
you just feel like the absolute man after.
Oh,
Shout out to you. I haven't run 7 miles in a long time. So I
listen,
need to
I
get
felt really good yesterday, but today I'm definitely a little sore.
yeah,
I'm very sore. I got
fair
out of
enough.
bed and I was like, oh, but that's the price of putting in some work though, I guess.
Yes, sir. And you did it. You did it.
So true. So
Um,
true.
so with that, that is our show this week. I'm Zach Lanner. That's Carson Fowler. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great week until our next episode. Stay optimistic. Follow us on Instagram, Friends for Good. Um, and on Spotify and YouTube. We will see you next week.